Welcome back to the Uncommon Success Podcast.
Welcome.
We are officially on Apple Podcasts now, so you can find us there if you want to listen in.
All right.
This week, we're going to talk about our third business that we own, which is the oldest business that we've had, the longest standing, which would be what?
Heat4Less. Heat4Less. I didn't know what we were talking about here.
Oh, you didn't know what we were talking about?
No, Heat4Less. That's an infrared heater company. I invented a heater that makes 2 times more heat than all the rest. Am I going? Maybe I shouldn't. I should talk slower.
I mean, you're doing great, Dad.
But did you have like an order and what you wanted to do?
I mean, well, we got to start from the beginning.
Okay,
like
the beginning. How did it start?
How did we get in business?
Alrighty.
And how long have we been in business?
Well, first off, you look really nice today.
Thank you.
All right, your shirt and shorts don't match. I'm just saying.
Oh, you know, they can't really see my shorts.
Oh,
but
okay.
I'm wearing
That's
a pink shirt with orange shorts.
All right.
And, you know,
Yeah.
I decided to wear this outfit today because tomorrow I am leaving for vacation.
That's right.
I packed all my shorts except my orange ones because I like wearing pink. And in my opinion, pink and orange don't match.
My opinion also. I would agree with that.
Mom actually said something to me as well this morning when I walked in. But you know, like I am seeing all over social media, pink and orange are like the new fad color combo.
All right.
You know, I like your outfit too, Dad.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's hot here. Like it's like
it's hot in the room we're in currently.
Well, the real field temperature like during the day is like 100 or something.
Yeah.
It's hot. So
and there's no AC.
I felt like I'm at the Bahamas here, so here we go.
I mean, in the Bahamas, would you wear a cotton t-shirt under your
No, I wouldn't. No, but I don't want to show off my body. I don't want to be a stumbling block to any women that may be watching.
Please. You have a cowboy hat with a Bahama type shirt with a cotton shirt underneath. You look fashionable.
Terrific.
Anyway, back to our topic.
So one of the businesses I own was called the Oley Turnpike Dairy.
Yes, and this is going back how many years ago?
2008.
No, you had that before 2008.
Okay, so it'd be 2 years before we started.
2006?
2006, 2007, something like that. I don't think they really care the exact date. But, and it was a restaurant, a full, 3 meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, 7 days a week restaurant.
I don't know if I would use the word restaurant. I might say diner food.
Okay, diner.
A restaurant to me is like more upscale.
Yeah, you're more upscale than I am. I would call it a restaurant. She'd call it a diner. That's fine. And then there was also a zoo, like a petting zoo. Yeah.
Tell us some kind of animals. Like what kind of animals?
Well, monkeys.
Hello, monkeys.
Lemurs, donkeys, sheep, goat, pig, horse, cow, Howie the Cowie. He was my buddy. Every year we had a new Howie the Cowie. It was just a baby, like a calf.
Yep.
But sometimes Howie was a her and not a him. It just depended on what happened to happen. And Howie never grew, right?
Howie never grew.
Stayed small all the time. And
before you go further.
Llamas, alpacas, what?
Yes, before you go further. So with the zoo, I have a memory that we just have to touch on.
Okay.
You got a call from, who was it?
Right. Some lady
Animal control. I don't know if we're thinking of the same thing. So the police or something, they found a wild random emu along the road.
Oh, that was a different story. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it was a township.
The township
a
called you.
township like far away, like a half hour from where we are. And they said we found an emu running along the road.
Like what?
Yeah. And so we caught it in a trailer. And do you want it until we see nobody's claimed it or something?
Yeah.
So yeah, we ended up with an emu, and nobody ever claimed it.
And I remember you telling me about your capturing of the emu, like when it came to the farm. Not farm, but the zoo. Yeah. And you said what kind of noise do they make? It was really odd. When it was like really distressed.
Yeah, I don't know if I can do it. That's a cow or pig. I mean, it was like I can't do it. I can't do it.
I thought it like screamed or something.
You have to. Anyway, so an emu moves like a big bird, in case you don't know what it is, and it
kind of
runs
like an
on its feet.
ostrich, but like smaller.
It's smaller than an ostrich. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
So we had a restaurant. Diner.
We had a zoo. We had a corn maze with hay rides.
A dinky corn maze.
That was a dinky one. Yeah.
And you're missing my favorite part of the whole thing.
Ice cream parlor.
Hey.
We had 40 flavors. We made our own ice cream right there in-house. 40 flavors of ice cream. That was cool.
I was
cool.
15 and 16 years old when you owned it, and I got to eat ice cream every single day.
Yeah. I thought you were going to bring up the story about, well, there were a couple, actually.
Wow, this story is supposed to be about a complete different business, and here we are.
I had somebody call me and say, one of the employees called me and said, there's a car stuck in the zoo.
What?
Yeah. Now, the zoo, you just walk in and go around in a big rectangle, and then you walk out. And I'm thinking, how did they get stuck in the zoo? So I went over, and here they thought it was a drive-through zoo. Apparently,
oh my goodness,
they drove their car in.
Oh my goodness,
got stuck between the fences. Okay.
We have a lot of stories about that business. We'll talk about that one another time.
Okay.
And maybe even have a guest. Okay. I don't know.
Maybe
on the air or something.
Okay.
A previous employee.
Previous zookeeper.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Okay.
But anyway, so we own this business, and what happened?
Yes.
Because something pretty major happened.
In the it was wintertime. It was cold, and the heater stopped working, and it was an old furnace,
right?
And it was so old it looked like it came over on Noah's Ark. I mean, it was really old, and I didn't own the building, I just owned the business. So I went to the person who owns the building. I said, the heater isn't working, it needs to be fixed. And he said, well, I'm not paying to fix it, you have to fix it. And then that's when I said, the thing's so old, I'm not going to fix it.
Right.
So there was a gentleman, he and his wife came into the restaurant regularly, and I became friends with them. Diner, okay, into the restaurant, and we became friends. And he was telling me about infrared heaters. I had never heard of an infrared heater, didn't know what it was. He said, yeah, I have 6 of them. My kids heat their houses with them. I heat my house, didn't know what it was. Yeah. He said, if you ever want to try one, let me know. I said, okay. So I called him saying, the heater broke in the restaurant. Can I borrow some? He said, yeah. How many do you want? I said, well, do you have 4? He said, yeah. So I went to his house, picked up 4 of them. I was heating 6,000 square feet with 4 of them. Now there were other things making heat, like the kitchen and the grill and things like that. Yeah, compressors for the freezers and stuff. So people would come into the restaurant and the ice cream parlor and say, where can I get one of them?
Yeah.
So I said, well, if I sold them here, would you buy one? And people were saying, yeah. So I was heating 6,000 square feet with 4 of them using no other heat source.
Yeah.
And it's a different kind of heat. It's like a soft heat. It doesn't dry your skin or your nose, and it's just a real comfortable heat. It doesn't take all the moisture and the humidity and the oxygen out of the air, so it's healthier and feels better, so on. So I bought a pallet of them from a company that used to be in business selling them.
And a pallet is 24 heaters.
24 heaters. And I sold 24. Them like Zippo,
Zippo.
A week or something. They just sold them.
And the interesting thing was, okay, so it's wintertime.
Yeah.
People are coming in and still eating ice cream. Of course, you eat that all year round.
Right.
They're sitting at the table.
Yeah.
Watching a video that you had put together. You hit play, and all day long, this video explaining infrared heat just kept playing over and over.
There's a little room about the size of our studio here, and I put a big screen across and had a rear screen projecting a video explaining the heater, how it works, and so on.
So people are eating ice cream and buying heaters.
I kept inventory back there, so they would sit down and watch the video. They didn't come in to buy a heater.
No, not at all.
But after watching how convincing it was, they bought a heater. They go to the restaurant, they register to pay for their ice cream, and said, "Yeah, I want to buy one of those heaters too."
Right, and that's not a cheap purchase. Back then, they were like $400.
$3.99 they were plus tax. So I sold 500 of them the first year.
From an ice cream parlor.
So I decided that that's what I wanted to do full time. So I got rid of the other business. I was only there 2 years, the Ole Dairy, and I renamed it to Family Time Farm.
Everything we do is family oriented.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I then moved into another facility.
Okay, we've got to talk about this for a second.
Boy.
Okay, so the place that you moved from.
She likes bringing up my mistakes.
It's not a mistake.
Go ahead.
It's part of our story.
Go ahead, dear.
So you rent a garage along a major highway.
It was a 4-lane highway, major highway, yes.
Well, yeah, around here.
Yes.
And we literally did not have a bathroom. We lived maybe 6 minutes away.
Okay.
So I remember having to...
Wasn't a problem for me.
I had to lock up run home, pee, come back, unlock, set up shop, and hope I didn't have to pee again the rest of the day.
Okay.
So we sold them from there for maybe a month or two.
It was a garage, but it was like there was at the front of it was a wall with a door.
There was a man door. It was not a roll-up garage, but it was a converted garage.
It was converted, had a drop ceiling, and it was
fancy.
pretty nice.
Oh,
it was very nice actually.
Mm-hmm. Lots of design style to it.
And there wasn't any room to even keep inventory.
No.
It was small. So I had to buy a tractor trailer, trailer, not the tractor,
right,
and pulled it into the parking lot, and that's how
driveway. It was not a parking lot.
So
it was
I was keeping my inventory in there. Now at this point, I was actually supplying heaters to other stores.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so we had
a couple accounts.
We had to palletize them inside this trailer, and then. Yeah, so it wasn't... Actually, no, we weren't palletizing then. That's before. So if somebody ordered heaters, I just put in the back of my... I don't know if I had a pickup truck.
You had a pickup truck.
And then I just delivered them to stores then. And then it got so big. We were only there a couple months.
Right. I think it was only a month or two.
Yeah.
And then we moved literally like right down the street. Yeah. Like 30 seconds.
So it was still on the 4-lane highway.
Yeah.
And it was a much better location, and it was a much bigger facility.
Yeah, we actually could warehouse heaters there.
It was 3,000 or 4,000 square feet.
Yeah.
So it was bigger than the garage.
I don't know if we did we really share that when you had the ice cream parlor and the dairy, like the heaters did so well.
Yeah. Right.
That you totally just were like, I'm going to sell these heaters. Like, I want to back up to that place for a minute before we continue with the story. How did you feel about that? Like, that is a major life change, a major risk.
It was. Yeah. So, the first year I owned that business, the Ole Turnpike Dairy, it lost money, which is expected for any new business, and we invested a lot of money in capital improvements and that kind of thing.
Oh, for sure. We renovated the whole
place.
But
the second year it turned a profit because of selling all the heaters. But if you take the heaters out of the picture, it probably would have lost money the second year. And it's like, I made a lot of money from the heaters, and the restaurant and all that stuff wasn't making much money. It doesn't make sense to do that. And I was there. There were weeks I worked 100 hours.
I remember.
We were open 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And I would get up and open in the morning. Some of the mornings I'm there at 6 o'clock in the morning, and until nighttime. I close. Some days I'm there all day, and we had 20 some employees, 24, 25
Payroll
employees.
Was a monster.
Payroll was huge. Yeah.
And Mom did that, right? Payroll.
I calculated the hours.
Okay.
And no, we had a payroll company.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I sent it to the payroll company, and they did it. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
but you were like, I feel confident enough in totally changing gears here, and yeah.
So I did. I mean, knowing that I sold 500, and at that point, profit was almost 50%. So 500 times $200 profit was reasonable.
I guess it's a totally different business. Like, you're not at the dairy and the restaurant. People were coming to you, so that's how they were coming to buy these heaters. So to kind of switch to along the highway, people aren't just like pulling off the highway to buy a heater,
right?
And getting people there, like that didn't make you nervous at all?
No, I started going to stores. And
what kind of stores?
Hardware stores, almost all. Some were, let's see, we still have A to Z Vacuum is still a big account for us.
They repair vacuum cleaners.
They vacuum cleaners, yeah, and they also repair our heaters.
Yeah.
Then you have Leola Heating, but Leola Heating is actually a sun tanning salon. They have a bunch of
tanning beds,
like 12 of them or something. That was their main business, but they called it Ole Heating. I'm not sure why.
Well, you're heating your skin.
You're heating yourself. There you go.
Heating your house.
But they sold hundreds.
Yeah, they were a really big account.
Yeah. I'm trying to think they maybe sold. I don't know if they sold 1,000 a year or not. I don't know, but they were a big account. And oddly enough, Hackman's Bible bookstore, they're out of business now, but they were huge. They sold hundreds as well.
Yeah.
So I would just start going to stores and talking to the owners, and show them. I would show them what the heater does, and this is when infrared heater was still.
It was a new thing. It was a hot item.
Yeah, it was a hot item.
Oh my goodness, I didn't mean it like that. But So you were not really nervous to switch gears. You had a plan, so you went for it. So let's go back to the story. So we were in a larger facility at that point along the 4-lane highway. Yeah. We had room to store inventory.
Yeah, in Douglasville is where it was, along 422. And we had a large warehouse, built a couple offices in the building.
Yep.
And the challenge is that it was a double door, but it wasn't very high. So
to get into the building, there was no loading dock.
No loading dock, right. So when tractor trailers would come, we would actually have to put a pallet on the back of the truck, load them manually, and wrap them. And the truck
but we didn't. We didn't do that at first. You're like fast forwarding.
Okay.
When we first got there, the heaters, and they still come this way, they come by tractor trailer from China, and they're individual boxes. They don't come palletized from China. Right. And so we would have to unload the tractor trailer by hand, one heater at a time. Oh, yeah. We had a conveyor belt.
Well, it wasn't a belt, but a conveyor system.
Okay.
Rollers.
Yes.
So you would somebody would be in the truck and put the heater box on the conveyor. And it would roll all the way into the building. And if people would go to Heat4Less.net.
That's our website.
And look at the videos. Are they available?
No, they need to go to YouTube.
Go to YouTube, and it's Heat4Less. And Heat, the number 4,
correct.
Less.
On YouTube.
And you'll see videos of the conveyor thing happening, and your children,
my little boy, they're not so little anymore,
they would scoot the heater boxes trying to help us out.
So cute.
And they were in the way, obviously. But they were helping us, and it was fun. Good memories there.
Oh yeah. But I mean, just thinking about where it came from. So we would unload them. Yeah. We would stack them on the floor.
Yeah.
Floor to ceiling. There was one year, I have a video, I was laying on top of all the heater boxes, and there was only inches above my head.
Right.
I mean, we went floor to ceiling because the business kept growing to the point where it's like, wow, we don't have any more warehouse space. We got to go high because we can't go wide. Yeah. And then at that point, that's when we then started palletizing them on the truck, because we were actually shipping them by pallets at that point. Yeah. So instead of one by one, like floor to ceiling, we were then palletizing it on the truck. We bought, I don't know what the term is. It's like a
pallet lift.
It's a pallet lift. Yeah, manual pallet lift. So you have to push this thing around.
Semi-manual. It's electric to raise it up, but then you have to push it manually, and it would go. You push it into the back of the tractor trailer, then lower it, then pull it back out manually. And we did that for, I think, 2 years. Yeah. That was hard.
Oh, that thing was so heavy. When you were heavy, like not around, and it was just me and Mom, I would dread when we had pickups, because I was like, I can't.
And it barely fit out the door.
I know.
I mean, there was literally like 1 inch on each side of the doorway. So how many times we hit the sides of the doors, pulling that thing in or pushing it out. And the clearance, there was only, that much clearance at the top. It was a mess. So we needed a warehouse and so now we're in a large warehouse. Yep. And we have a forklift, and
we're moving up.
Those videos are also available
on Heat4Less on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've come a long way in how many years has it been now? I always forget.
2008,
since 2008
we started,
and
so
we're in 2023.
23 minus 2 is 21.
21 years?
I don't know if I'm doing it right.
That is so wrong.
That's not right. Anyway, it's been a while. 15, 16, I don't know. So,
okay,
so what happened is now we were selling another brand.
Yes, so explain this. Yes.
And they then changed their model of their heater, and they called it a different name. And 100% of them were getting returned within the first year. They would break. They were that bad. They were really bad.
They changed something on the inside.
They changed a number of things with it. The heating elements they changed.
So what used to be like a premier brand,
it used to be the leading
now.
Yeah, it used to be a leader in the industry at this time.
Yes.
And then they changed it, and then they filed for bankruptcy. And I don't know if they're still in business or not.
We still can't figure out what's going on with that business.
It's sort of a mess.
So what happened? What did you do? Your whole business is literally crumbling.
This is junk. These things are junk. I can do better than this. So I thought, there aren't any made in America for different reasons. And if we have time, we can get into that. I would love to make ours in America, Yeah. So if the government would get out of the way, we won't go there.
We're not going there.
So I contacted 3 different companies in China that manufacture infrared heaters, okay? Yes. I said, send me your best one.
Yeah.
So they did. And then by this time, there were a couple of other brands also now that were available.
Right.
So I bought one of each of them, and I took them apart and looked at them and learned, and so what worked, what didn't work. I took things out of for mine. I added other things for mine, and so on. So when I developed mine, which is now it's called Home Comfort, sold by Heat4Less, it makes 2 times more heat than almost every other infrared heater made using the same amount of electricity.
Yeah.
Same amount of electricity, twice as much heat.
And how is that possible? Because a lot of times people will like question you and...
Well, yeah, there's a couple. There's 2 things. I can't give away all of the secrets.
Of course.
But the heating element is the main thing, special type of metal that we use. It just gets extremely hot using less electricity.
So it's kind of like light bulbs, right?
It's sort of like the incandescent light bulb versus an LED. So like rather than using 100 watts, you only need 15 or 17 watts to make the same amount of light. Same thing with heat.
Yeah.
So it's just a different type of metal that's more expensive and just... There's other factors too, but I don't want to share what they are.
But that's a little bit of why.
So I went to, in 1 week, I went to Ace Corporate Office, which is in Chicago. I went to True Value Corporate, which is also in Chicago. And then I went to Mid-Atlantic Hardware. Is that what it's called? I think that's what it's called.
Okay.
3 different, the buyers for the heating and cooling departments for 3 different companies. In 1 week, all 3 of them approved us as a vendor. And it's like, oh my goodness, we only keep an inventory of like 2,000 or 3,000 heaters total. How are we going to do the warehouse, fill all these warehouses and stuff?
Yeah.
So I picked one. Ace Hardware seemed to be more aggressive. So I went with Ace to start with. And then when I can build up inventory to go to True Value, which now we're there.
Yep.
And our inventory is such that we now can service True Value as well. So we're planning on going to them and seeing if they would sell it. And the reason it's so easy to sell is I take the leading brand of infrared heater, put it next to mine, and I show them mine makes twice as much heat. I have them put their hands in front of them, and it's no question. They're both CFM, the CFM, the cubic
feet per minute.
The volume coming out is the same on both of them. The amount of, and then I use a watt meter showing that mine actually uses less electricity than the other one by a little bit. And then I show how mine has the lowest failure rate of 1%.
And you've explained a few of the reasons why.
But
we don't need to go into that.
Don't need to go into that. The lowest, and I made it the easiest to service.
Yes.
Almost every infrared heater has what's called a terminal block, and the wires from all the components go to the terminal block. You take a screw out, and you can have multiple wires come out. So when you change a part, you need to know. There's training to know how to do it right.
Because all the wires look the same.
Yeah. With mine, they're all what I call plug and play.
Yep.
Every component, if it goes bad, you just simply unplug it, take it out, put a new one in, plug a new one in. We don't have a terminal block.
Right.
The most difficult component to replace in an infrared heater is the rear circuit board. It's normally mounted behind the heat chamber, and you have to reach around, and you can't even see where you're working.
Right.
With mine, it's on the side.
Yep.
You just take one side panel off, and it's right there.
Plus, the thing I love is that all the wires going to it are color coordinated.
Yep.
And on the actual
board,
there it says red, blue, yellow, green.
Yep.
It literally makes it dummy proof.
And it matches the wire. So unless you're colorblind
or you can't read,
it's so easy to do.
Exactly.
We don't have service centers all across the country like some of these companies do because you don't need it.
A lot of them don't even have. You're lucky if you can buy an infrared heater with a service center.
Oh, yeah, right.
A lot of
Most
them are just, you throw it away when you're done and then you buy a new one. With ours, this is the last one you have to buy.
That's right. Because it's made out of a strong, high-temperature, hard plastic and aluminum. That's it.
Yeah.
So they will last for a lifetime. They don't rust.
Right.
So it's the last one you'll ever need. So let's say a heating element blows out.
Yeah.
And you need to replace it. Well, we have a video that you can watch that shows you how to replace it. It takes literally 3 minutes from beginning to end for our service technicians to replace it.
Yeah.
So the first time an individual does it, it'll probably take 10 minutes.
Right.
But the second time they do it, it'll probably take 5 minutes. But we can do it in 3 minutes without working up a sweat. It's so easy to do.
Yeah.
So every component is so easy to replace. We have a video for each component showing how to replace that component.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what part is bad, you
Call
can
us.
go, or you can go to the troubleshooting area.
Yeah.
Or call us, and I'll ask just a few questions, and I'll be able to determine what part it is. 90% of the time, I'll tell you, well, it's the fan, or it's the overheat sensor, or whatever it is. And you just buy the part and fix it yourself. And you, again, watch a video and see it. It's so easy to do.
Yeah. I think it's amazing, like, how you even got in business in the first place. Going from a different business venture, heater breaking.
Right.
We are now selling heaters.
Yeah.
Like, who would have thought?
Yeah.
And that, like, who would have thought that that's even like a fun or interesting business? It's kind of not, but at the same time, like, where we're at now, looking back, is just incredible. And we do have some fun memories. So before we close, I've got to, like, what is your favorite part of the business?
Well,
I know I'm putting you on the spot here.
I know what yours is, I think.
Yeah, probably.
That is not my favorite. The favorite part, this is going to sound crazy, but I actually enjoy when people call and say it doesn't work, and I ask a few questions, and they're so kind. It's like, wow, you speak English.
Yeah.
You're the owner, and you answered the phone.
Yes.
And you actually talk to me. You're the guy on TV, right? And
I know, it's so funny.
And at that point, they start talking. They start like
getting nervous.
Getting all nervous on their voice. And you're, oh, you're the guy on TV, aren't you? Yeah. And so it's like, yeah. And I say, some people say I look better on the phone than I do on the video. But anyway, it's just a little joke I pass out there. But I mean, they're amazed that, hey, they talk to the owner. It's so easy to find out what's wrong with it most of the time, and you just simply fix it yourself. It's just so easy. That's sort of fun to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. The part that's not fun is they don't all like call in a row. So I want to call in the morning and in the evening, and we don't get many calls, but we average probably 2 or 3 calls a day in season, off season, maybe 1 a week.
Right.
But because the failure rate is so low.
Yeah. Well,
we don't get many calls.
We get more calls that are user error than there are like heater error.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, our podcast studio is in a room with no air conditioning, and our camera completely just died. So sorry for the abrupt ending to our podcast. Maybe we'll get air conditioning in here at some point, and the camera won't overheat.
We'll see what we can do.
Yeah. But thank you for listening, and hopefully next podcast will go a little bit better.
I look forward to seeing you then.
Because we see them.
See?
We don't even hear our viewers, but thanks for watching.